Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Finally got everything cleaned up. Trying to clean up this stuffy nose still. But feeling better today, and we're going to take our family trip coming up here shortly, so I'm trying to get a little bit more on this dirt bike done. So as you can see, we've got our fuel cutoff valve here. Let me see if it was autofocusing earlier. And I guess while it's recording, it can't do that. I bet there's an option. Anyway, this is all cleaned up, ready to go. Learned a little bit more about the system and how it works. So, I don't know if y'all are familiar, on a motorcycle, you've got basically a, this goes like this, but, so this is how this thing sits, right? And you got a 1 there, a C, if you can see that, and then a 2, right? So let's do this. I did this earlier so I can figure out how to put it back together. And so what you have here, guys, is you see there's a little U-shaped tunnel there. So when it's in the 1 position, I'm going to get rid of this. Just remember, 1 is up here, 2 is to the left, C is to the right, or off. I think that would be cut off or something like that. So as you can see, this is just a tube, and then it has a filter sock on it, and that sits in the upper regions of the tank. So in normal mode, when your tank is full, as you can see, it's basically bringing the fuel down here into this hole, and that's where it drops through the filter and then back out to the carburetor. So that's number 1. And then when you have it on number 2, you see the 2 thing is connecting these 2 things, and right here will go a filter sock. So that is your reserve, or your, when you're low on fuel, it now can draw from the bottom of the tank. And then of course off, basically it's looping the top of the fuel, top of the fuel. It's basically looping it just up to nothing. So that would be the off. And that's why we ended up working on this in the first place, because they weren't able to shut the fuel off. And not only is it unsafe, but you don't want your engine to accidentally fill up with fuel because the needle or the float is sunk or something like that. Anyways, it's just something that should be working properly. Anyways, so now that you know how that kind of works, one day I'll have an autofocusing thing. So this is kind of cool. I'm just kind of going back together right now. So let's go ahead and get this upper part buttoned up first. What do you think? Nah, let's do this part. Let's do the bottom part first. So you got your filter, which I wish I would have gotten, but I don't think they actually sold it. 5. You know what, I did, didn't I? I thought I did. Huh. Yeah, wait a minute. I could have sworn I ordered that. Maybe that's what I said in a prior video, that I actually forgot to order that one. Probably should open this stuff to check it. Sorry, let me bring it on camera what I'm doing. This is the O-ring in this filter sock kit. Just making sure that thing isn't in there. Let me go over here. I could have sworn that I ordered one of those. I guess I messed that up. Darn it. Let's see here. Strainer cup gasket. Yeah, I think I ordered it maybe, and I shouldn't see it. So 5 is the cleaner, they call it. So that's, by the way, I got this from a place called Babbin's Online. Yeah, Babbitt's Online. And they did a great job at providing, there you go, Babbitt's. Anyways, they got OEM parts, so it's definitely the way we wanted to go on this one. So 5 is cleaner, 44344. No, that's not on there. Darn it. I guess I messed up and didn't order that. But guys, as you can see, I've already got it cleaned for reuse because it's just a mesh screen. Nothing fancy. And what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to rinse out the fuel tank with fuel. Make sure there's no more sediment down there. So I guess what's the best way to do this here? All right. Let me just, it's kind of hard for me to work like this, guys, so I'm just going to have to focus. I'm just going to have to do this and kind of show you guys. All right, so, but you can tell by the mark here that this side goes up. So, and then because I've got a cool little diagram, I know that that goes up first. Then I have an O-ring here that just so happens to fit this vehicle. Filter gasket, 4546280. Got it. And what I'm going to do, I wish I had some silicone grease, but I just like to get it just a little bit lubed up with something to kind of just help seal, especially this next one I'm going to put in. All right, so thankful for the correct parts because I honestly, as you can tell, I didn't even test fit any of this stuff. So very, very carefully, I'm just gonna make sure it's seated, and it looks like it is. And this thing is supposed to just screw up in there and seal. Let me clean out this surface, the gasket, the O-ring. Let me clean up the O-ring surface a little bit more here. Very lightly doing this. All right. Very careful, obviously, guys. Using your grinder, using your wire wheel like that. All right, so I'm just gonna kind of make sure it's nice and centered. I see something on there that I don't like. I'm gonna spray a little bit of silicone over here, kind of tap the end in. I don't want to fill it with silicone, just to get a little bit on that surface. Mold it up nice and straight. Fuel's gonna come in, and then basically be pushed through the mesh, and that'll be actually where the stuff is caught. And of course the design of this is going to sit the other way, and you're going to be able to your sediment should drop into here, which this is the first time I've actually worked on one of these, guys, so I'm kind of learning as I go. And because this is a Suzuki, we're going to use 10mm. And feel free to look up torque specs if you want on this type of stuff, guys. The wrench is probably not the right tool, but mainly you just want it to seal, but you don't want to just totally destroy that that O-ring. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to put it down how I like it, right there. And then once we get it all back together, we will, obviously if it leaks, we'll readdress it, because we can work on that, however. And so, up to our valve area. I actually got 3 of these things. I did that by accident. I think I was trying to order the filter mesh, and I accidentally ordered 3. It was very confusing, by the way. It's like every time I added the parts, it would drop down this big old menu and make me go out of that, and I'd lose my place. And like all these numbers are so similar. And these wonderfully wrapped bags are awesome. Beware of using razors when cutting out bags of anything that is delicate, because you might slice right through it, bro. Okay, so this is a nice new O-ring, and this is kind of the whole issue. And then besides all the sediment that we found, you see here is a basically a rip in the O-ring, and you can see basically fuel just traveled just connected by itself, whereas the new one's not going to allow it. Not going to allow it. I'm going to rub some silicone on there. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, I sound terrible. A teeny bit more there. And, cheaper, this stuff just disintegrated. There we go. Good Lord. All right. So, we're going to push that in there. Okay, there we go. So it kind of goes on this top button here. So it's fairly straightforward. But, of course, now it's not really being straight anything here. What's going on here? Huh, I think it really got to press on there. Ooh, I don't want to do it too hard. This is when you're going to get some more lube on there. Oh, good Lord. That was retarded. I just used brake clean on it. Cheapers. Well, if that starts to go bad, I don't know why. No, it would take a while for it to really, but it will eventually do something to that rubber. All right, so I thought when I first did this, yeah, each end is going to have to sink all the way down, so I'm going to have to get something very, very small. I'm going to get a socket and basically individually press each side down here. If I can get it a little bit bigger than that one. Alright, I like that. And be careful, just because this is something, it's pretty easy to make a mess of what you're doing. But I'm a little surprised that isn't just, I bet you it just sandwiches on there, guys. Because I don't want to just reef on this, and it doesn't really want to go on there by itself, so. I'm just going to make sure that this is actually, this is where some silicone grease would be helpful. I guess I could use dielectric. Okay, so it just sits on there. Huh. We'll see, guys. I'm just going to put it together. You would think it would kind of slot in and be really precision, but it just almost is more of a sandwiching effect. So what I'm going to do is drop in our, ooh, that doesn't look right. Cheapers. Okay, let's see here. Sorry guys, you can tell I'm just kind of figuring it out here. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, really. I mean, if you kind of, I'm just wondering how that's gonna, does it run up against the face of the deal? I wonder if that's how it goes, just like that. Alright, I'm just going to dress it up with silicone. That's kind of a spacer, I think, so it can have room to spin, because if you sandwiched it all the way down into the O-ring, then you wouldn't be able to turn it. Alright, well, let's do this. Forgot I was filming, guys. I'll definitely get in my modes where I'm just like, dang, trying to figure this thing out. Where's my other screwdriver at? Huh. Oh, there it is. I did, I told you guys before, but I did kind of rearranged all my tools from how I had them when I worked. I did this stuff for a living, which I never did any small engine stuff, but the automotive stuff I did. Okay, let's do a little test run here. All right. Now I guess we can test it. In fact, because we've got air and we've got my fingers. All right. So right now this is off. So this should kind of just plug up. Or maybe even rear out to the... All right, definitely just loops it to the... this is the fuel tank, so it's coming out this way, but let me see how this feels. Okay, so this is the outlet. This is the outlet to the tank, so let me go into number 1 mode, and if I put it through here, I should feel it on my thumb. And there it is. Okay, let's go over to number 2. This will be a good test because I can actually get a really good seal here. And middle finger should... All right. Keep in mind, guys, if you're doing that with air, you gotta be careful with the what's it called? I'm gonna spray some silicone in here just so it can kind of get in there. And all right. So now we're ready to basically install these socks. These will be spares for the next one. I'm hoping some of this stuff's interchangeable with the other motorcycle. I think it is. These are our washers. Excuse me, it's like sealed washers with actually a seal on them for the tank bolts here. And let's see if we can get a little bit... Oh, this tremendous lighting, but it almost seems dark. These big lights over here aren't really helping. Let's see here. That's without the other lights. Let's try that for now. All right. So here's our last remaining parts of this job. Our O-ring for the tank and our 2 little socks, which I believe they're identical. Kind of your pre-filter, if you will. And let me just make sure this is... I had some like varnish or something inside this tracker. Maybe someone tried to use a little bit of silicone at some point. But I'm trying to get that junk out of there. Wish I had a nice flat small screwdriver, which I do. Whoops. Oh, darn it. Okay. Alright, so doing the complete sweep here. Just want to get all that. All right. There you go. Just want to get all this little debris. This probably isn't necessary for sealing, but I'm a stickler when it comes to cleaning gasket surfaces. I mean, 9 times out of 10, a good cleaning will do it. But, you know, how many times have you guys had to do something over? You know, a guy once told me that if you got time to do it twice, you got time to do it right the first time. So that's, like I've said before, when you're making money doing this, you've got to make sure you're not doing jobs over and, you know, suddenly you made $50 that week or something, you know, because you had to do a couple jobs over. All right, of course I'm doing this after I sealed everything up. This is out of there. Okay. Just wanted to get those on there and use a little silicone on the... You want to be careful with this stuff too, guys. I was trying to be really careful with this brass tube thing. And I could have bought a new one of these, which I probably should have, but I figured I'd save my client a little bit of money, and then I knew it was just needed to be rebuilt. It wasn't destroyed, so. All right, and I'm just going to seat this all the way to where the old one was. And you can kind of tell. All right. And this is cool, guys. This is so fun when, like, finally everything's coming together. All right, that one, of course, it sits in there, so I don't have to worry about it, but it didn't really... It kind of slipped in there a little bit too easy. All right, guys, so last but not least, we're going to grab some gas. And that's what you're looking for, guys, with the O-ring. When it's down in there, it should come up just a tad. So if you're not sure if you can use an old O-ring, that's your telltale that, you know, is it completely flat or do you have a little bit of space there? All right, let's keep these for record. Keep that. This is just a bag. Let's see here.
Do you recycle glass?
Uh-huh. Yeah, oh, that? Oh, I'm sorry, baby. Everything okay? That should probably just be thrown out.
Okay.
There. You can just dump it in there. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Okay, finally relaxing after crazy day.
No. I was asking, so I was talking to Lisa about,
Should I stop?
no, you're fine. About the, dosage and everything. And she's like, sometimes it just takes dogs a little bit longer. Hours, they're fun. And suddenly just, and I was looking at Jack earlier and he was looking kind of loopy. And I was like, da, 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 da. And I went back to look at him. I said, are you okay? And he looked at me and he just goes, okay, you're okay.
There we go.
But they're still getting nervous. I mean, it's,
Okay.
I have the music up, so I'm hoping, if they have been going off, I can't hear them, but I have the music up.
Okay,
I feel so bad for them.
yeah.
I really do. It sucks for them, they don't know what it is. I wonder if they knew that Jack was scared. I wonder, I guess they've had him on.
Yeah, I mean, he's, shoot, yeah, I don't know. What she's talking about, guys, is when there's fireworks going off, our dogs get nervous. Some dogs do. Some dogs don't like them. Some dogs could care less. Alright, let me get some rinsing fuel here. I've got some older stuff that I've been wanting to kind of use up. So, let's use that to rinse Ola. Alright, look at that. That's a thing of beauty right there. Look at that thing. That is a thing of Suzuki beauty. So we'll just watch everything. Make sure you have to just, once you get done doing stuff like this, you just gotta hook it up, you know. Figure out if it seals. Alright. Ooh, this smells terrible. I'm not even gonna use this. I'm gonna dump this into our little used gas tank over there, or kind of our mystery fluids type thing. This should be fresh fuel. Alright. I'm just gonna get some in here. I'm not really gonna, I hope I shouldn't spill it, but So, off camera, what I had done is, sorry guys, I should have adjusted the thing here. Whoops, and it's blurry. Lord. Let me turn this. I've got such a ghetto setup. I've got my camera sitting on a ladder. Taped some stuff. Alright, so what I did is I just literally dumped some in. Whoops, oh, shoot, and just let it run out. Hopefully taking with it the last bit of debris. I blew it out with air earlier. Honestly, guys, that's kind of as good as we're gonna get, I think. Let me flip that up. All right, guys, this is exciting. I'm probably going to put it back on the bike before mounting. I guess I can mount it. Yeah, let's mount it. Let's finish this job. All right. So, of course, we want to let this kind of dry a little bit. All right. Excuse me. All right. That looks really good. And, of course, you want to make sure you hook it up right because, of course, the handle is going to be outward. So, let me put a tad bit more of our slick silicone, which again, if you have a grease, it's not really necessary, guys. O-rings should seal, but I like to put a little bit of extra on there just for safekeeping, All right. So let's get the bolts ready real quick. The bolts. I'm gonna get those all the way down. Careful not to rip them. And I just like to kind of coat all this stuff with a little bit of silicone. It just makes you sleep good at night. All right, back together. Whoops. That's exactly what I thought. What I didn't want to happen. All right. Because I don't want the O-ring to get mangled, I'm gonna put it on like this. Without fuel coming out, of course. Well, I'm not really sure what I'm trying to do here. Okay. Let's just do this. Let's do that. Okay. Well, we'll just go sideways. All right. That's another thing with the silicone grease. Keep stuff like this where it should be while you're putting them together. And what I'm doing, guys, you just want to watch it. I'm just kidding. It's like an old dad thing. Watch it. I'm watching the O-ring. Make sure it doesn't slip out of its track while I'm sucking these things down here. Whoops. And there goes the O-ring, darn it. Alright, I'm going to sink that down. And, alright, so I just kind of flattened it. Now the O-ring can't really move anywhere, so we're good. Alright, now same thing, just good and tight. If it leaks, we'll find it. We'll see a leak if it leaks. There you have it, folks. New fuel cutoff, a rebuilt fuel cutoff valve for a 73 Suzuki TC125 two-stroke. Ready for the new line. And once I get the next is going to be the carburetor. I need to actually clean it, study it, learn a little bit more about properly putting it back together. But good news is I have a lot better documentation. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. And there you have it. Ready to rock and roll.